You have your people who are engaged.
Yeah.
They're engaged in their work. It's a very small population, unfortunately. You have people that are actively disengaged. They view their work as transactional. I'm going to do just enough to not get fired.
Minimum.
And then you have the actively disengaged people.
Sowing seeds.
Which are the ones that are just like, this place sucks. Let me tell you why this place sucks.
They have many F's for that place.
I mean, they're giving out a lot of F's for that place.
Welcome to the Culture Stoke podcast, where happier people lead to better results.
That's what I like.
Syrupy.
Water hits.
It's cool. All right. So we're back. We're back, boys.
Like a vertebrae.
Back in town.
The boys are back in town.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we are here at the Culture Stoke studio, unknown location, unbeknownst to anyone. In the
Top
bunker.
secret.
The bunker.
It's top secret.
We're in.
Marty's backyard. No, we're in the studio and we're here. We're here and we're ready to go. And Marty has something to say to all of us, though. He came in with a fiery, fervored.
Really, it was hot.
It was hot.
It was hot.
A passion to
Kick the door down was
Something
like, this is
I
it.
had assumed
It was
for a
Spartan.
very long time.
It was a Spartan kick to our
Yes.
souls. But anyway, so Marty, lay it on us, dude. We're going to be talking about hiring today, but lay it on
100%.
What are we talking about, man?
One of the things that we are oftentimes helping organizations with is to not only improve the hiring process, but to get people to stay in the organization first and foremost. And most recently read an article by Gallup that just was released yesterday that 1 in 2 U.S. employees are actively looking to switch their job. And it's not just 50%. We've now crested the true majority into the 51% territory. And this is the highest it's been since 2014. And this is something not only are we
10 years.
seeing...
That's like an interesting... sorry.
I mean, well, like, so half the people listening to this right now are like, yep.
Yep. They're actually watching the podcast while at work.
And going,
Like,
me.
Yeah.
Me. You're talking to
Sounds
me.
about
We're
right.
talking to you.
So 51, majority.
51%.
Dang.
Yeah.
That sucks.
And the reason for that... There's multiple reasons for that, but according to this study, Gallup suggested that based upon the respondents, that the majority of the reasons it wasn't necessarily pay, which more oftentimes than not, leaders are thinking about.
Shocked face.
I'm only.
Oh my goodness.
This person's leaving primarily to.
Right. They're getting more money.
Yeah,
It
looking
must be.
must be more money.
So what was
must be motivating them?
What was the actual percentage of people, that respondents who are leaving because of pay?
Only 16%.
16 as in 1/6.
1/6.
Yes, absolutely.
16%.
All right. Well, and so what was the highest reason? I mean, what was the highest reason?
Not leading.
Yeah.
What? One teeny
I
tiny
don't
little bit.
know the answer to
Yeah.
this question.
Number one reason, according to this poll, is engagement and culture, with culture leading
Right.
with 41% of reasons
41%.
why people are switching over, looking for new jobs to begin with.
I'm just going to Kermit meme this really quick.
Oh, no. Problem.
But
Seems like an issue.
the secondary statistic or the second highest rated statistic was work-life balance. And which
Arguably is a cultural thing, maybe?
if culture is the experience of work, and work is not necessarily being an additive part to one's life, that the weight of work can make that scale feel out of bounds real quick.
Real quick.
Real
quick. Okay, so it's an alarming stat, needless to say. And if
It should be.
Well,
If it's not. If it's
well,
not.
who is it alarming to, though? I mean, because obviously the people who are the 51% that's considering it is like, yep. But the bosses and the people who, the powers that be.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
the interesting, like, if it's not an alarming stat, I mean, because there is a school of thought about a hiring strategy is like just have a well-oiled revolving door where it's just like, hey, just look,
It's part
people
of the
leave. Okay, we're able to get them in here and crank them out. Like that
that does happen.
That is a choice. That is a choice you can make. But the average cost to hire a person spans anywhere depending on, the skill level and
Right. It won't even the organization.
$2,000 to $22,000 an employee.
Yeah.
Okay. For one. Singular.
Mm.
So, the kind of well-greased door getting people in, but you got to remember this is money spent on whatever like software you put in, but it's mostly like hidden costs of like time and resources to develop the job aids, et cetera. And so and I haven't ran into the person yet that is like not struggling with hiring other than people that, have intentional cultures and know how to hire really well. But I have not it seems to be a common
pervasive
trend, a common thread.
Okay.
Is that people are like, I cannot get people to return my phone calls. I cannot get people
for respondents who are trying to apply for a job,
or people that have applied to your job, but by the time you actually get around to them,
they're like hired or
by the time you actually get around to them, they've already got another offer somewhere, and now I've been ghosted. Like, nope, you weren't ghosted. You were late.
Slow.
You were late to the party. The party was over. And so, part of this, what I see, and when I hear those numbers, is I hear people, and I think we talked about this in the last episode, was like the perspective has changed a little bit about
just
like what,
maybe a wee bit,
just a skosh about like, hey, work is really important. Work is an important facet of our existence. It's an important part of our life. We spend half of our conscious life at work. I'm going to spend that time in a place that is engaging.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend that time in a place where I feel like I fit. And I'm going to spend that time in a place that respects the fact that work is only a facet of my life. It's not the facet of my life,
Yeah.
Preach.
That's good, man. I mean, I think it's interesting. So you both have, you guys have consulted with a lot of businesses and leaders, HR departments, the works. And this, besides the fact that you mentioned this is a pervasive problem, it's substantiated by stats. Gallup is, they're mostly legit. All completely legit.
Mark Twain stats. Like there's lies, damn lies, and statistics. That's
I love it. I don't know what it is, but I'm not smart. I'm not smart enough for that. But you guys said, both of you have kind of alluded to the fact that this is a like pressing problem. Like when you talk to people, when we consult with Culture Stoke, this tends to be numero uno, dos, or tres in the problems.
It is without a doubt. Top five, probably. Easy top five.
How much? What percentage? Obviously, there's what percentage of the current clientele would you say, even not maybe current, but all existing, is like this is top three problem?
Like
trying to think if there's
probably about 100%.
I was gonna say, is there anyone who hasn't?
I don't think we have anybody that's like not killing it at hiring right now. Like,
so across the board. Hiring, to your guys' literal experience, this is a huge monumental pain point, not just emotionally, but like literally pockets, draining the pockets, $2,000 to $20,000.
Yeah.
Big problem. Anything else add from that stat, Marty? Any sort of, great Marty, wonderful idioms and, the beautiful mind?
Can't think of anything right off the top of my head, but when it comes to the Wes's point around the shift in reflecting on what the years that we most recently had,
right?
There's also been a very pervasive shift in expectations of employees and workers, team members. I hate the word employee. The idea that it's like, hey, yes, I know there's this opportunity to have financial compensation and earn a living, but there's so many things that make life worth living beyond a vocation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dive into my Dead Poet Society ramble, but
do it.
Greatest movie, one of my top 5 best movies, right there. Give me that some Robin Williams. That is such a good movie.
Yep.
But the idea that people's
R.I.P.
attitudes have shifted permanently about the relationship with work, and if you can't be in a place that's going to care about you,
right,
actually care about you. As a human, not just as a set of hands that comes,
not just a
work,
resource, but
and a number or employee badge ID, about a genuine human who's going to care about you, grow you, develop you, see work as an opportunity to not only
got excited out there. I'm so excited. Speaking of,
that's what engagement looks like. Is knocking over a microphone.
Sorry, go ahead.
that really work if you have the ability to be an employer, which is really, really difficult.
By the way,
it very much is a privilege, but it's also really challenging. But one of the greatest things that you can do for the success of your business is to take care of the people in them. And that idea that the organizations who do care, who invest in their people, are the organizations that keep people longer. So when somebody does pop in, slide into their DMs and professional networking site like LinkedIn, hey, have this job.
Yeah,
you know what? I love my work.
Yeah.
I love the people I work with. I love what we're here.
Right.
Like,
So really, to put that simply, because it went over my head, and then I realized what you're saying. Lots of recruiters are going on LinkedIn and poaching, like your people, the people here.
Fish in a barrel right now. 51% of people on LinkedIn right now are like
huge
ready
amount
to throw up the deuces.
Yeah. So what you're saying, what I'm hearing you say is that at the end of the day, if you're thoughtful and intentional and deliberate in creating culture that is, and people are not a resource, but resources go into people, then when they get those, slide in DMs, they're going to be like, no, dude, I love my work. Yeah. This place is amazing. Why would I ever leave it?
Or if you're the one sliding into the DMs, you can offer some, great talent, something better, a compelling reason why they would want to join your company.
Recruiters, strap in. It's about to get real,
baby. So I guess the other end of that, what I'm kind of hearing too, is there's the facet of hiring, but then even better, or not better, but like the other side of that coin is retention. How those two kind of coins, coalesce together.
Well, I mean, if you can't retain people, you're going to spend a lot of time hiring people. Right?
That's
so
where
and it becomes
it's
a vicious cycle for sure.
Right.
Because I was talking to my mom. Hi, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
About this. Hi, Mom.
We should also hi to our moms. Hello,
Hi,
Mom.
Mom.
Love you.
I was talking to my mom about this we were talking about the different generations in the workplace and kind of how expectations have changed, because it's endlessly fascinating. Generational studies, I could nerd out about it for forever.
Do it.
But I won't, because we don't have time for it today. Sneak peek. Teaser. We don't have time about it today, but there is a common misconception about generations in the workplace, and it's really problematic because it's invisible to us, because we make assumptions that just because I grew up in the same place or the same town, or even if I didn't, we make a lot of assumptions that people are coming in with the same lens. But here's the thing. Marty and I graduated from Arroyo Grande High School. Guess what? So did my dad and my uncle and my aunts. But we grew up in vastly different cultures.
Right.
And so we have those 5 cultures in the workplace right now that are all this
melting
kind of weird amalgamation. Although I will say that by 2026, millennials are going to be about 75% of the workforce. And have very different needs. And we have way too many organizations that are still running the playbook from 1996, which, by the way, that playbook didn't work in 1996. It's still not working like 30 years later. So there's a lot of behooving that is happening right now for organizations to really take a hard, fast look about if you really want to get people to stay, because there's a concept in the lean continuous improvement world about the hidden factory, right?
Ooh,
where it's like, it costs you 10 times as much to reproduce a thing than it would have cost you to produce it right the first time. Okay. And so in the
and what is that reference
world,
of that? Sorry.
It's the hidden factory.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Because it's like, now I got to have a whole other division of people that are going to rework this part. Well, here's the thing.
Right.
The same logic applies to people. Right. It costs you 10 times as much to have to rehire somebody or have to replace somebody that you hired incorrectly in whatever way you want to do. Like, it wasn't good cultural fit, skills,
whatever, what have you.
I didn't invest enough in my recruiting and hiring practices. I just thought it was as simple as put a job out, get an application, throw up an interview, make sure that they're not, gonna like microwave fish in the break room. Okay. Don't microwave fish in the break room.
Come on now.
Okay?
Stop it.
Unless you want to microwave fish in the break room. And then,
if that's a cultural thing.
If that's a cultural thing, you want to go do that, no judgment.
Judgment. Still judgment.
But a little judgment.
Little
judgment. Okay, I'm sorry.
So I'm really, at the end of the day, this is a problem. It can be fixed though. And here's the thing. I think at the end of the day, What were you saying? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It was the challenge that I had working at my family's telephone answering service. Is that the answering service world is not a sexy job for most people.
What?
You want to come join and answer if calls 6 to 8 hours
disgruntled,
a day. Luckily,
clients
for the most part,
Not
people
always,
were mostly chill and happy at our place. But the idea that the work is important.
Yeah.
But more oftentimes than not, you have to give people compelling reasons to why they'd want to join in the first place.
So, practically, what did that look like for you guys, though?
So,
you were part of this company. We talked about it before. It needed, some cultural massaging, for lack of better words.
Absolutely. You first need to give people a reason that the work makes a difference. Why the work matters first and foremost to begin with. And it could be something as simple as answering telephones, but really changing the way that the actual work is viewed. Yes, we're answering phones, but also we have the opportunity to support businesses in which that this company runs, and that if we're successful in capturing business opportunities, reducing expenses for this company, then the people in that company can be more successful. That company might be able to provide additional benefits and compensation or opportunities for their employees, while we simultaneously get to be the benefactors and beneficiaries of a high performing value add service where we now can be positioned as a premium company, charging premium rates to then further enhance the lives of our team members. Yeah. So there's a bit of a marketing dance, so to speak, where external brand is actually a representation of the internal culture.
Right. They're two sides of the same coin.
Yes. And so you really have to kind of make that culture sparkly, or a my Little Pony word.
Ooh.
Really, how can we?
I'm gonna put a rainbow in right there.
Yeah,
sparkle.
You gotta make it sparkle. You gotta make it bright. You gotta make it something that is gonna draw people in.
Right.
And that usually starts with, why is this work important to begin with? But then clearly getting even more hyper focused into, what does this mean for the person actually doing the work?
Okay. That's a great segue, I think, really, because what I'm hearing you say about even your experience at, the previous place, and then obviously your guys' consulting experience, is that you kind of start with that, it's not use the word sexy. Let's be honest, most work is generally not sexy. It's not like I'm, waking up and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go, I work for F1 racing or something. I don't know what's sexy. Whatever's sexy,
Look who I get to work with. So
you're like me and myself. That was on point.
Sorry.
Right. But most work in and of itself is, you said it even last time, hey, it sucks that we have to work.
Yeah.
Let's not make our work suck, though.
If you look at it from the content perspective, but Marty's touching on this idea of purpose, right? If you look at what really motivates people, Daniel Pink's Drive.
Great book.
It's a fantastic read if you are looking for a new read about how to actually motivate your people. And one of the main pillars of that is purpose. Yeah. People want to feel like they're a part of something special. They want to feel like their work matters. They want to feel
beyond
like it
themselves.
means something.
It's beyond just the thing that they're doing.
If you can tie that to the greater impact that's going to have. So Marty was trying to kind of draw this picture of hey, you're not just answering phones.
Right.
Okay. You're enabling a doctor's office to provide better care. You're enabling and now I'm a part of that.
Yeah.
Now I can paint myself into that picture that this is the impact. This is the thing that I'm able to do to ostensibly make the world a better place.
Right. Well, and the nice thing about doing that is it's, purpose, vision, it kind of creates perspective. We tend to be so inward focused, thoughtful, thinking about ourselves. And that's just stats. It's most 90% of our thoughts are about ourselves.
Yeah.
That's an arbitrary stat, but there's a large percentage. And so it's almost like I just, when you said it, I saw a canvas of a person being at a business place, but they kind of focus in on themselves. Yeah. It's oh, well, what does vision do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Perspective.
Literally
you're a part of something.
It literally reminds us that we are not the main star of this story. We are person number 9,477,876,
Please tell me that's the exact number. Dang it. I felt like that would be something you could conjure up.
Hey, Look it up.
Look it up.
It's
You're
that is the,
dude,
the,
if
the
you're-
exact number of people on the planet.
Next
right
episode,
now.
we're gonna find out how close was Wes
It
to
was-
the actual.
I can tell you right now, it was not close.
All right, so Marty, great points, and really what we're talking about is purpose. That's an important part. Making people see themselves as the grander story of what's happening. Making, quote, on its own, a myopic view, something that may be perceivably a little unsexy to like, hey, but dude, you're a part of something here that's meaningful, intentional, and great. And so now let's get into the practical. There's HR managers listening. There's hiring managers. There's people here that some of you are the 51%. Like we talked last time, Wes is like, hey, you have agency to listen to these type of things and bring it to your upper management. But then maybe the HR directors who are listening, like, dang, like, yes, dang it. Like, you're reading my diary. Why did they left me again? Conjuring up all of our abandonment issues.
It super stings. I've had great people leave, and I can think of.
I don't mean that
times.
pejoratively.
Oh,
I'm
no.
like, that's not even me being hyperbolic. I'm literally like, that's really hard when people leave, even if, it's still work, but it's more than that. We know that.
Yeah.
And so guys,
Hiring is hard.
what can they do?
It's hard.
It's super hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the greatest things that you can do to improve your success when it comes to hiring is to get really clear about what differentiates you from any other business, whether not just within your industry, but particularly within your area. Because it's not uncommon for someone who might be looking for a customer service job to apply as a receptionist at a physician's office, or maybe in insurance, or maybe work at a call center or at some other place. So if you're trying to attract individuals who are already You're trying to attract individuals who already have kind of like a narrow band of like attention. Right. The thing that's really difficult nowadays is that human attention spans have shrunken dramatically.
Less than a goldfish.
Less than a goldfish. 9 seconds, 8 to 9 seconds, I believe, is the amount of amount of time that most people will give to something.
Right.
You need to be able to clearly articulate what makes you special, what makes you different.
At the end of the day, where's the word? You use the word.
Use the word.
Benefits.
Yes.
I heard that, and you guys have talked about that a lot. And we just, as we rapped about this, so Marty, you kind of created a framework for this a while ago. I remember hearing this in 2018, and it's a simple way for people to look at the benefits of their work, and generally just a great, easy way for people to see, hey, what are you offering me? Yeah. And so do you want to kind of elaborate on?
Yeah, sure.
Ooh, whiteboard
buzzer.
The first one, baby. Okay,
Excellent.
So Marty.
So this is a framework that that is very helpful both for hiring managers, but also individuals who might be part of the 51% who are like, hey, I'm thinking about going, I'm considering it. This is a way that you can actually quantify if this is something that you might.
The hiring managers are like, don't teach them.
No.
Don't tell them. Why would you do? Why would it's already hard enough? Why would you do this to me? No.
So this framework is known as the 5 Fs. And so each F stands for a certain aspect that you should consider when it comes to your employment, future or current. And the first one is really around your fit.
There it is.
So this is something that you can think of. Is this the right fit for the job itself? So the duties of the job. But you would also want to consider the values of the organization. So do these values align with the person that I am or the person that I want to be?
Yeah.
Because our values influence our behavior, and our behavior really impact our results. Okay. So we want to think about is this the right fit personally for this job? Am I going to find some joy in doing the thing? Yeah. Because the values align with the type of place that I want to spend my time and energy. Right. And this could also be the fit when it comes to the culture. Yeah. Are these behaviors that are acceptable that I live into, or if I go in here, I'm going to be kind of ostracized and feel weird.
So for the person,
fit, like one of the ways that I like to describe this is like if organizations just hire for skills, knowledge, and abilities, which is the SKAs, it's what every person is you need to know what skills, knowledge, and abilities you want. This, what's your SKAs, right? But the way that I like to take this to like on a musician front. So like if you're a musician,
Thank you.
if you're a musician, you have the skills, knowledge, and ability to play pretty much any style of music. Okay. But if you put Dave Grohl, frontman for the Foo Fighters, and tried to get him to go play, you know, some other genre of music, could he technically do the work?
Yeah,
probably. Right. Is he ever really going to feel like he's a part of that band? Probably not. Right. That's
traditional German polka.
Yeah, if he's doing traditional German polka,
Or polka.
I kind of feel like we should start a genre called polka.
We 100%. It's
but like
polka.
that's when you think about fit. I want you to think about the fact that if you just hire for skills, knowledge, and ability, you could be bringing somebody into your band that wants to play metal.
Yeah,
and you're a polka band.
Well, and so in the first word that came to mind was even like chemistry.
Yeah.
Like, is is there that kind of intangible, like, no, this just feels right? And I know not everybody has that intuition necessarily, but I mean, you know, those people that you sit in front of me like, dude, this is like when we all hung, it just made sense.
Yeah.
It's
a relationship.
There wasn't even a quantifiable thing.
And in relationships, you need chemistry. You need fit.
Yeah. So I love that.
Yeah.
Marty.
Yes. And when it comes,
bring us back.
Yes. Oh, I love hearing it. So beyond the roles, the role, the job, the values, the culture, those definitely need to fit. If they're off, you're probably not even going to accept the position or want to be at a place long term. But the next area that we want to look at is the fortune.
Fortune.
Wait, I think I spelled that wrong.
F-O.
Yeah.
F-O-R. Yeah.
T-tune.
Fortune. So this very much you're looking at not only your kind of quote unquote cash money, but you also want to consider what are the benefits. So this could very much be vision, medical, dental, 401k.
Yeah, the literal what they mean when they say benefits.
It is literally the place where organizations get least creative, and it's so mind-numbingly aggravating.
Well, expound on that. What do you mean by that?
So, like, I mean, like, and I won't go too far, but like, you don't like if you think. I think I mentioned it in the last one. If you think money is the only lever you have, but if you can give people back time, right? If you can give, so like setting up, as an example, setting up an arrangement with a local laundromat to where it's like, hey, you can bring your laundry here on Thursdays, and then the laundromat will come and pick it up. They'll clean it, and then at the end of the day, your laundry's done.
So be creative. And like there's opportunity.
Here's the cool part. You don't even have to pay for it. Just facilitate it. You can do the same thing with like a mechanic, where it's like the mechanic will come to the drive, will come to our parking lot. We'll do your, oil change.
Yeah, or like a car detailing service. Hey, on Fridays,
and here's the thing that's even more annoying. When are people typically doing that stuff? Either on the weekends or they're taking time off.
Yeah.
To go do that
stuff. Do that thing.
Right. So if you can facilitate, and again, just facilitate. You don't even have to pay for it. If you want to pay for it, that's
even better.
You had things at your tongue. I felt it.
No, absolutely. To that point, Wes, that act of service of giving time back. Because yes, work is oftentimes the vehicle that we assume to be able to help us reach the destinations of our goals, dreams, aspirations, and so forth.
Yeah.
But it requires a significant amount of time. And if we can have great opportunities to get more time back in our lives, to enjoy it with the people that we love most, that is going to be something where this leads very much into the next F, which is around freedom.
We got so many Fs.
So many Fs.
Most people don't get F. We get 5 Fs.
We're handing out Fs like this.
Go, man.
And so the freedom, both when it comes around to time. Yeah, so this could be very much be, you need to be in the office 5 days a week, 8-hour shift. Say that you completed all the work that you need to do, but you still have 4 hours left of your day.
Yeah.
Are you spending 4 hours? Tell me.
Was that me?
Yeah. Hit me.
Please.
No, that was just me buzzing that thought.
Okay. That was like the equivalent of a snap, you know?
Does that your time? Do you have freedom? Do you have some autonomy within your time? Be like, hey, we're all done. Maybe I'm going to get ahead. Or, hey, you killed it.
Yeah.
Now go enjoy some additional time. Because that freedom, very much when it comes to the pandemic, we had a lot of organizations having to shift to go into a different type of work environment where time wasn't necessarily, you didn't have the ability to hover and see what people are doing. And so I think it demonstrates, yes, that gets into a conversation of trust, but time is something that is absolutely important to consider. Like if I'm looking at a job at this company versus another, but I have a better schedule, I'm being paid the same amount to do the same type of work. I'm going to go over here because my schedule is better because I have more time in my life.
So well, and it's the, I mean, time in and of itself is the most valuable commodity. It's the only unrenewable resource that we have. It's
the resource that we all have. Okay.
And
that we use terribly, by the way, but also that like, we don't have as much control over that. Like, and that was one of the things, like the perspective change was like, hey, this could be over like that. Maybe I want to spend time in a place that starts to consider me holistically as a person. Right, Marty?
Absolutely. Because how many times do you get to take your kid to the first day of school? How many times do you have a chance to maybe see someone, your family member, loved one, get married? Those are things, again, that make life worth living well beyond a vocation.
Well beyond your job. So if a job though can facilitate in their language of the benefits, because again, all of this is benefit. I know we read it here, but literally all of this is what's the benefit of coming and working here?
100%.
And I guess we're not prescriptively saying like do the things we're actually saying right now. It's more like, hey, here's opportunity, but you should consider.
We're not saying that.
If you want to position yourself as an employer of choice quickly, you're going to consider these
You're going to consider all of the suggestions we said. And really, because I mean, we've kind of framed it in both the person who's considering these 5 Fs and relative to their current job, but also the hiring manager, the business. It's like, okay, we need to clearly articulate.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Marty. I think you came up with this as just like a decision-making tool for decisions,
for life,
like across the board.
It was very much, the decision was like, how do I actually get people to come join this organization and get them to stay?
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah.
And so like, okay, based upon these things on a scale of 1 to 5, where do we fall? We're a 3 in here, but we really should be.
I want to hear more. Like there are certain podcasts who don't give Fs.
We're handing
out all the Fs.
We give a lot.
We give Fs. So what's the next one, Marty?
Next one, I'll just lastly say,
touch on
freedom
your last.
is when it comes to autonomy.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So then that comes back to your
one of the most commonly misunderstood words in English language.
And so very much what autonomy means and the freedom within one's role is within the guardrails of your position or your areas of responsibility. How much control do you have to either improve the process, to achieve the result? Do you have to follow this exactly to formula? Or if you see a different way to do things better or with other people, do you have that quote unquote permission autonomy. Or can you seek it to make things better so you can take some sense of control and ownership in your role?
And that touches right on the engagement part of that. Of the 41% of people who are, or 41% of respondents say culture and engagement. So if you can find a way to further engage them by, hey, come be a part of it.
Like, it's, I mean, because
part of the solution.
Because Gallup talks about engagement, and engagement is really just another way of saying motivation, right? You have your people who are engaged. They're engaged in their work. It's a very small population, unfortunately. You have people that are actively disengaged. They view their work as transactional. I'm going to do just enough to not get fired.
Minimum.
And then you have the actively disengaged people,
sowing seeds,
which are the ones that are just like, this place sucks. Let me tell you why this place sucks.
They have many Fs for that place.
I mean, they're giving out a lot of Fs for that place. But like the autonomy, the ability to be self-directed within the parameters of a goal. Like, don't sleep on how important that is. That is also, so we talked about purpose being one of the main motivators for people.
Right.
Daniel Pink will say autonomy, another one.
Wow.
Like being able to have a little bit of my choose my own adventure about not only like the work that I do, but also my career path, right?
Absolutely. And thank you for that beautiful segue.
Hey,
right on the screws. F number 4
here we go.
Is future. So this is where organizations, you want to think about career development. This can be both career development, leadership development, but also personal development.
Yeah.
So the idea here is what's in this for me? How can I advance within my job? Because when you reach a certain plateau in your organization and you seek additional responsibility and someone says, no, this is as far as you're going to go. This is however much money you'll ever make. That is ultimate. Yeah. That is very demoralizing. It's very demoralizing.
Yeah, demoralizing. Yeah.
And
defeating. Like it's like bummer.
We only think that you could only do this much. We're putting an artificial limitation on what you're capable of.
That is the number one thing that will get people to walk out your door is when they think, oh, there's the ceiling. I've made it. Yeah. This is as far as I can go. I have left jobs even in early in my career. And so bringing it a little bit back to the development part, to the generational part of it, because Gen Z and generation coming up after that are quickly on their heels,
skibbity
are I'm not going to say it because if I say it, my daughters will shake their head so hard at me they will do a full rotation. They're doing it to me already. They're just like, I can't give it to me. You. But because there is so much concern that they are going to be the generation they're the first generation that don't do as well as their parents.
Okay? In what way? What do you mean?
Socioeconomic
way, really? Financial. Yeah, they're the first generation that
life expectancy is actually dipping as opposed to improving.
Like they are literally the group. And so this career development cannot stress. Like for millennials, really important. For Gen Zers, non-negotiable.
Yeah. But for Alpha, it's like
Alpha's just like
they're gonna
you better.
They're down on the vine.
Better.
This is not a request for those individuals, and very much to the degree where mindsets have shifted. Like, care about me, grow me. If you don't, I'll find someplace else to go.
That they will.
Right now, that is a strong request
but soon
this is going to be a requirement.
Yeah.
Yep. An absolute requirement. And you can think about, what are the opportunities that exist within the company, whether it's cross-training, mentorship, teaching others, learning within one's role, exploring other areas, maybe other departments or ways that you can build and stack your skill set in your workplace is, very, very important. The other side of that is what is opportunities for personal development? How can you be, and why are you, and how can you be a better human as a result of working here?
Right.
How can you improve your leadership skills? How can you use the workplace as almost an incubator to practice some of these skills?
Yeah, to holistically grow humans, not just in the thing that they do for the business, but just as a person.
Absolutely. And you can take it home. You might even be about how to set expectations better with your kids, or how to diffuse conflict, or how to practice gratitude. There's ways that very much, again, the artificial concept of work-life balance can start to dissolve when work becomes almost that training ground to be able to improve your life outside.
Would you say you said the artificial concept of work-life
balance? Yes.
I think in all of this, that's probably a paradigm that, again, you guys could correct me if I'm wrong, but a paradigm that
you're wrong.
I'm so glad we have this. No, but that probably in all of this, in a lot of ways, that work-life paradigm is something that needs to be shifted.
Oh yes,
that work should have never been a thing,
right? But it's a thing, and so now it's like, hey, it's not just a paradigm shift. Like let's bazooka that and say, look, work is part of life. At the 100%. End of the day, and life constitutes a lot of things, not just work and then life.
Relationships, self, hobbies,
everything. So this that's an important, maybe even starting point for a lot of this is like, hey, you got to consider the fact that most people, generations, they're not seeing work as just this like fragmented part of their soul, like Horcrux that sits over here.
Harry Potter.
They're not like siphoning off part of their soul and be like, well, that's for work.
You're a wizard.
Do you guys ever watch the Apple TV show Severance?
I have not.
Literally. So we should do a whole episode on this. But it's the whole premise of the show is that work sucks so much that they created a technology to where they could create a separate work identity, that when you go into work, you become this new person. And so when you go home, you forget everything that happened at work.
This podcast brought to you by Severance.
Apple TV. No, but I mean, it's just, anyway, it's
that's dark.
It's dark and it's amazing, and it's really we should just watch it and then just
homework
Let's
assignment.
do it.
Yeah, I like it.
Last one.
We could
Yeah.
mystery science theater it. Hashtag modern reference. We should just the silhouettes of our
Bro,
heads
who's
and
the
just-
robots? Okay, so the last F. Bring it on.
Bring it home.
Marty.
Last one is joy.
Woo!
No, fun.
Fun.
Yeah, baby.
Fun leading to joy, fulfillment. The fact that yes, work is going to be necessary to do, but the experience can be infused with fun.
Yeah.
It's a choice. How do we want to show up in this? Do we have to be so serious and buttoned up, or can we let our hair down a little bit? Can we be our full self? Can we just enjoy, or even just try to find the humor, find the experience, or can the office actually provide a structure to be able to have experiences that you might not otherwise
Is this
have
where
at work?
pizza and video games come into play?
It very well could
I
be.
know. That could be a benefit. I mean,
It could. What do you want to say there, dude?
No, you go ahead.
All
oh,
right.
you guys are so courteous. I'm gonna talk then. Listen,
Yeah.
here.
Listen.
Joy.
Yeah, but fun is something that you can very much look at, like the experience of work,
Yeah.
and it can actually be used to drive performance. Where oftentimes, even in the company I was with before, we did in a quarter, we did 8-week sprints with the idea with first 2 weeks, we kind of set it up, prepare, 8 weeks, we'd execute. And once we achieved and accomplished our goal, which we never missed the goal, we would celebrate with some fun experience.
Yeah,
It could
heck
be
yeah.
as simple as like an ice cream sundae bar. It could be going out, taking the team out to celebrate. It could be additional paid time off, whatever that might look
Whatever
like.
it
But
is.
there's a way that you can
But articulate it.
use. Yeah, absolutely.
Think about it and
Articulate.
make
What
it
are ways?
intentional
about it.
Be
Yeah.
intentional.
What are ways in which you can celebrate the efforts of your team?
So this is amazing. So we have so many Fs.
Been handing them
We
out
can't look. We're handing them all day.
podcast.
So at the end of the day, we're people listening. So obviously, if you're kind of that 51% that's on LinkedIn, you're on LinkedIn, and you're kind of in that place where you're like, I don't know, consider, hey, does your work clearly articulate these things? But I think even more importantly, the HR managers, what's a simple thing they can do to practically okay, how do we do this? And I know obviously it sounds simple, like get in a room and just talk about it. But
No.
yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, I think the most powerful thing you can do, right? Like the just a easy peasy first step is just get a piece of paper.
There we go.
Get a piece of paper.
Get a piece of paper.
And
papers.
I want you to just list out the 5 things that makes your organization
Great.
special.
Awesome.
Like that makes it if you're trying to bring in a friend of yours or a family member, okay?
Mhm.
Which by the way, if you create an intentional culture, guess who becomes your recruiting department? Your team.
Your team.
If your team members are not actively bringing people like, oh, you
Advocating.
should come and work for this place,
It's a great
really
metric
good indicator
that
of like
We got
You know.
some work we could
There's work.
things
There's-
we can
there's-
do
there's
to
some
improve.
things we can do.
opportunity to give more Fs.
But if you go, if you just
Can't not
get
say
a
it.
piece of paper and I want you to write down 5 reasons why people should want to come work for you. Okay. And if you're like, number 1, we pay well. And number 2, like you know what I mean? And like, I don't want to gallows humor this a little bit, but like, I don't think that people give enough thought and credence about this experience of work. Like,
Yeah.
the 5F framework, like there was a mentor of mine who would tell this story. He was on a tour, or he heard a story of a person on a tour. He was a senior VP at GE on their medical device. He was the head of the medical device, creation department or whatever. And this person was taking a tour in a hospital, in a children's hospital.
Oh,
And kept hearing these like screams, right? And it was just like, and
Monsters,
finally
Inc.
he was like,
what is happening?
what is happening right now? Why is this happening? And they were like, oh, well, see, this is a children's hospital. MRIs are scary.
Right.
And so like when we put them in, we were having, what he found out, short story long, is they were having to anesthetize, put them to sleep.
Children.
95% of the kids were having to be anesthetized because like being
They
an
were
MRI is
terrified.
scary,
It's
right?
Yeah,
very
it's scary for
as an
me.
adult.
I want to be
And
anesthetized going
So
to
this
an MRI.
guy, this person went back and said, "Wow, we got to do better than
Fix
this.
this.
We got to." But here's the thing: technology is what it is. You can't fix the machine. The machine just that's how they function. Those are the sounds that it makes. What the team came back with is they designed experiences for these hospitals to implement, like become a pirate, become a superhero, etc. And they got the nurses and the doctors involved with costumes, and they had decorations and wall things that they would provide. And the kind of the penultimate part of this story was, hey, you got to go through the MRI machine to become whatever the end of the story was.
A pirate
And they saw just by simply changing the experience of that, they saw like they only had to anesthetize like single digit percentages of kids that still couldn't do it simply by changing the experience. And so it would be fascinating to find out how many people are working right now and would rather be anesthetized than work where they're at right now.
Gallup. That needs to be an extra.
And it literally is just the changing of the experience. And so like grounding ourselves into that fun part that Marty's talking about, like the work's going to be hard. We don't have to make it harder by putting all those extemporaneous things out. Right, Marty?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go, baby. We got two.
Oh, no, it was actually just the idea. But really, if you're to boil this down, is that people really deserve a better experience at work.
Baby.
And this is the way you start to think about it and how you start to show them. Because again, this is not necessarily just about these two bottom rungs of the quote, if we're turning this into a pyramid. These are the things more often times than not that organizations focus on. It is freedom, it is the future, it is the fun, where work shifts from not what you get, but who you can become in that process. And oftentimes, who you can become is a better version of yourself.
Dude. So at the end of the day, if you do not hear anything, I mean, seriously, what is the thing that people deserve a better experience?
Yeah.
This is how you do it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I don't know that there's a better way to end this episode than that. We could talk a little bit briefly on very practical things like, hey, do this, sit down, 5 things, write it out, and now let your ads for LinkedIn reflect those things.
Yeah, highlight them in your ads. Highlight them in your career pages.
Write down those things and then just go do a current state. How many of those things are reflected in your job ads? Like when you're hiring, do you highlight the fact like, hey, we have a on-site chef, or hey, we invest heavily in our people's development.
We do weekly, marathons of Lord of the Rings extended.
We watch Severance as an ironic twist.
This is what work is not like.
Yeah, this is what
here, and that's actually a very important part.
Yeah,
the being able to also, hey, this is what you can expect, but this is also what you
cannot expect.
Yeah. We don't expect
here's what
you
we are.
to
Here's what we're not.
Follow up to an email after hours. We don't expect you to be on call consistently.
What not to do.
That can sometimes be just as powerful.
What we're not about.
This is what we're about. This is what we're not. I love that.
And by the way, like I just want to make a disclaimer. Like Richard, Marty, and I have strong opinions about what we think, how we think organizations should function, but we will never advocate that you should do it the way that we think, because at the end of the day, building an intentional culture means it's got to mean something to you. Boom. Our big kind of message is don't try to be something that you're not.
Yeah.
If you're in your job ads, you're like, we're all about work-life balance. And then it's like, and I'm going to need you to come in on the weekends. And also we work 14 hours a day. I'm going to need you. Like if you do that, that whole thing crumbles. So be just honest about what you want. If you're like, hey, we do work 14 hours
and if you want,
I do expect that. Say it.
But then give them crazy benefits.
Here's the things that you will hear. Well, even so, who do you think you will attract? People who want to do that, want to live in that grind. About work. Okay, like you could get like people with less experience that are like, dude, I can grind 14 hours a day.
Sure, let's go, baby.
Boatload of experience so that I can build up my resume. That's
right. But then there's not that dissonance between what you're saying and what the experience is. And I think
the chasm of that dissonance is right where those 51% of people are living, because they're like, yes, I was sold something and this is not it.
This is the classic bait and switch.
It's
Go
just like dating somebody, and to that degree, like, hey,
ahead.
this is what this. No, this is almost like a genuine relationship where you can look at
Yeah.
even the interviewing, the onboarding experience, very much mirroring
Yeah, dude.
a romantic or deep relationship. And sometimes these relationships at work actually last longer than some of the relationships in our lives.
Wow. Yeah.
And so
makes
it's
sense.
very, very important to not only give the time, energy, and attention to making sure if this is the right place for you, but as an employer, very important to be really clear
Dude.
again about who you are and who you're not. So you are genuinely attracting the right people who will stick around and stay
right.
in good times or when it gets difficult.
Yeah. That's great.
So I think it's a really important thing to just, as we close this out, and I know we've thrown a lot of things
Right.
about hiring because it is such an expansive topic, but I
We'll
think
talk a
it's
lot more about
important.
it, too.
I think it's important to highlight the fact that, you know, the concept that people are going to, or the idea that people are going to spend 4 decades in the same place are long gone.
gone,
You know,
yeah.
average tenure about 4 years.
4 years.
And so, you
Well,
know,
that's
your
with not very
goal
great
I mean,
cultures,
the goal your goaltimate, by the way, I just hit a new, your goaltimate,
I
your
like it.
ultimate goal, your goaltimate
Your goals.
goal.
I love those.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
Your
take 'em.
ultimate goal isn't to like, how long can I get them to stay?
Yeah.
Okay. Because people are going to make decisions that are based on their whole life,
Mhm.
not how loyal they are to you. Okay.
Right.
But the goal is to make it a difficult decision.
Yeah.
You want to make it to where it's a
Make it
really
hard.
hard decision to leave.
Yeah. And it even almost hurts a little bit on the way out. They're like, I loved this so much, but
I have
life,
this other
family,
thing.
I got to
Yeah.
move or whatever, what
Yeah.
have you. You know, I think that's
If you can make it, if you make it a difficult decision, right? And if people are like, I really don't want to leave, but and it's something that doesn't have to do with them.
Yeah.
You can feel them personally.
That's a win.
You can feel
a
pretty
win,
good
yeah.
of like, you know what, we're doing all right.
well, then the people leaving doesn't like hurt, doesn't sting. You know what I mean? It becomes like you're
celebrate.
You're happy to send them somewhere.
Yeah,
What
absolutely.
do you say?
And that person can actually be one of your greatest recruiters to fill that position. And because if you're going to some place where you're celebrated versus where you're tolerated,
Oof.
you're going to be encouraging people to be a part
Dude.
of something great.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we're going to wrap it up. So look, if you are serious, we're all going to kind of like, hang out, talk to you guys. But look, if you're serious about transforming your company culture, or you just want some more, first do this for us, right? All of us, we need to like, subscribe, rate this podcast so that we can get more content out, so that we can have these conversations, get the conversation started. And then, hey, look, go to our website, culturestoke.com. We have a free gift for you guys. It's the culture calculator. Marty, just like literally 20 seconds, describe the culture calculator for us.
Culture calculator will allow you to identify what is the particular return on investment when you invest in your people and culture.
Boom.
All you need to know is how large your company is, what your average salary is, and what is your average or what is your current turnover rate. We'll have instructions on those, and you'll just see how much money you will save in hiring costs, absenteeism, turnover, and how your productivity gains can increase as well.
So a crazy, super valuable thing. And if anything, it just gives context. Look, when you invest in culture, here is the ramifications.
The bottom line benefit.
Bottom line ROI. So hey, if you want
if
that,
the people side wasn't enough and you needed something to like,
if the profit side is,
I gotta build the business case.
Which you do, and a lot of people do. I get it. And so this is our free gift to you. It's crazy valuable, a lot of thoughtfulness and put into it. So go to our website, culturestoke.com. We're gonna give you that free gift. And then also we need like another like this is the bummer one, and then we need another the clown horn. So look, it also don't miss out. All of this is kind of culminating to we're actually going to be releasing coursework, flagship coursework, and our first flagship course. Should we talk about it?
We should totally talk.
We should talk about it.
Well,
hold on. Let's get break. No. So lame. So look, we are releasing coursework soon. Like, be on the lookout. Sign up to our monthly Stoke. It may even become more than monthly. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll get
But
there.
hey, it's going to be amazing. And actually, our first course is on hiring. It's such a problem and such an opportunity for businesses to see like crazy amount of results. And obviously there's a lot of things that kind of go into hiring, right? It's not just hiring. And honestly, you can't tell. Culture probably has a big part of that. Maybe just a
and
little bit.
we're
A little bit.
in these courses we're gonna mix in the philosophical because that's
You have
important.
to.
Yeah.
But we're going to pretty much everything's
Practical
gonna have some practical application worksheets.
You can
that
do
we're
this.
gonna have you. Yeah, there's gonna be a full workbook. Yeah, it's the whole nine.
It's the whole nine.
It's pretty much all the resources that developed over the last since probably 2012, really focused on how to optimize the hiring process for speed, for clarity, and for results.
And we have, and we the great thing is we can back all this framework up with like crazy numbers around and this is not to put a feather in a cap, although there is a little one, because it's like, look, we want to help. We want to be a part of the solution for you guys. And so be on the lookout, that course, subscribe to our newsletter, but first get our free gift. That culture calculator is going to be amazing. Anything just a first start, if you're an HR manager, show that to your, the big boys or whatever and say, look, we have an opportunity. There's a gap here. And so with that wraps our episode, baby.
I feel good about it.
We gave so many F's today.
So many F's.
It was a good one.
I like giving F's out.
Yeah, just
hand them
out. Hand it out.
All right. Well, hey, have a great one. And hey, we like we always say, Culture Stoke, happier people,
Better results.
Boom.
Boom. High fives.
Thanks for listening to the Culture Stoke podcast. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to like, subscribe, and rate us wherever you tune in. Share this episode with anybody who could use a culture boost, and visit culturestoke.com to grab your free culture calculator. Until next time, keep stoking the fire.